Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Putt.
Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome back to First Contact Radio. Glad you could be here again. Today is Tuesday. It is the 13th of December 2016. Our sun sign is in Sagittarius. Our moon sign is in Gemini. We look at our aspects for today, and we can see that a number of them have, well, a number of them are all coming up this afternoon. First one's coming up at 12:24 p.m. Jupiter is going to jump into the mix. Jupiter wants to expand things. So what we're looking to expand here whenever we have the moon is we're expanding what this moon is about. Okay. The moon represents the subconscious mind. It represents those unconscious desires, those things beneath the surface. And every 2.5 days it changes. So there's a lot going on underneath. Today we're at an air sign. So we want to be able to express, to communicate that which is coming out. So all of these aspects that we're looking at are aspects now that are going to be working in conjunction or together with the aspects of air, the aspect of Gemini. So the first one we have here, Jupiter is going to expand because Jupiter expands things out. And the triangle here is a trine, tells us nice, good, positive energy. So it's a nice, good, positive expansion of the way we're going to look at the idea of Gemini, the idea of relationships, communication. Then as we get to 1 o'clock, we go into an opposition here with Saturn. Saturn's about discipline. And discipline in regards to focus, really taking all of our energy and focusing it. So we want to focus what it is that we are wanting to communicate, wanting to express. Okay, then we get into Uranus, unexpected changes and events later this afternoon. And that's in the way in which, again, we communicate relationships. And then finally at 3:26 p.m., we hit a lesson, a square. Okay, this is where things get a little bit more serious because we need to take a look in the mirror at the part of ourselves that needs to be healed. And that's what the Chiron is. Chiron's that wounded aspect, but we need to heal it. And the thing that's going to heal it is our words. Words will heal. So we need to find healing words later on within ourselves. What is that way that we express ourselves? What are the words that we can use? And then 6:05 p.m. an opposition between the sun and the moon, Sagittarius and Gemini, squaring off or opposing each other with their ideas. Now they're opposite signs to begin with, which is a nice, great balance. So there's a lot of balance going on here, and it's a balance between fire and air, between the higher self and the aspect of ourself that can make decisions, discern, make choices properly. So we're going to be in nice, good opposition right there. And then 11:57 tonight, Mars is going to energize things in a nice, good, positive way. It's going to energize our expression, but then the moon is going to go void, of course, which means it's hitting the last aspects of Gemini before it moves into the next sign, which will be tomorrow morning. Okay, so that's over the course of the day. So all these different aspects, remember, Gemini is the lovers. The lovers is all about learning how to defer our line of choice making to our higher self. Okay, this is the higher self right here. So the higher self is within this energy. So when we connect with our higher self, then we are connecting to the place that makes better decisions. And how are we connecting with our higher self? Through our subconscious. Okay, so we're going within. We're going within to the subconscious. The feminine aspect that receives the information, is going to defer to the higher self, and there we are connected. That three circuits. The circuit of the conscious, the circuit of the unconscious, and the circuit of the higher self, all connected together to be able to make proper choices. And then throughout the day, all these different aspects, very important, because how we communicate with the world, the choices we make, it's all very important. So today, it's an expanding. We've got to be focused, prepare for some unexpected changes, but most importantly, later on this afternoon, we got to take a look at ourselves, at what needs to be healed. Okay, there's a lot of pain in the world right now, and if we just let the pain go on, then it's going to go on. But if we stop, look, and listen, we'll understand what it is that needs to be healed. And there's a great deal within each one of ourselves. But we all know the words to heal ourselves. We just have to take time out to find those words. Okay? Take time out to find those words. Okay, so that's today, the 13th full moon on the Gregorian calendar. On the Jewish calendar, today's also a 13th. 13 Kislev is the name of the today. Now, we do have a full moon, 99.7% of the way there right now. This afternoon, 4:05 p.m. is when it will reach its peak. Full moonness, it'll be a super moon. So we know how those are. Those are a little bit larger in appearance. And finally, space weather shows us that the solar wind is currently at 521.3 kilometers per second. Our planetary K-index is quiet at the moment. 1, 2, over the next 24 hours. Sun's pretty smoothed over at the moment. M-class flare and X-class flare both at 1%. So not much is going to happen there. And geomagnetic storm activity in the mid-latitudes is stable at 5% and stable in the high latitudes at 15%. So there you go. There's a cosmic weather today. It's what we're dealing with. It's the energy around us. Fire energy, of course, with the conscious mind. So we have lots of ideas, truthfulness. And then, of course, the unconscious mind today wants us to find a way to express that. But express that by using our sense of discernment to discern what is right, what is wrong. Okay, that's the big issue in our lives, discerning what is right and what is wrong. And now, it is time to move on to the UFO news. Here we go.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk, thank you very much. This is the UFO News today. I have 4 good stories. Story number 1 comes to us from Brazil. We got a very colorful cloud here. Pink light emanating from the middle of the cloud. Says this UFO was seen making a cloud around it to hide both its color and its shape from the onlookers below, but it was slow to do so. Lucky for us, someone in K6 noticed it and got a short video of it so we can really appreciate its detail. Most similar UFOs can create clouds to hide it. It sounds silly, but it's true. They have rules, laws. If you watch Star Trek, for example, prime directives that dictate what will be allowed and not allowed to do with planets where intelligent species are still prime and developing. Alright, so very cool looking cloud right there. Definitely can tell that something is in the middle creating that. Alright, moving from there, let's go up to the Orion's Nebula. We have an image, an object captured up there, being described as some sort of a ship. This comes from the 11th. Says this UFO was reported by UFO Omni 2012 of YouTube, and it may be one of the largest UFOs ever reported in a while. How big exactly? Well, if you lined up Earth 100 times, then you would have a good start. This is one big UFO. Anything seen in nebulas are usually tremendously huge for us to see here on Earth. So we're led to believe from this that this is an object 100 times larger than the Earth. Well, that'd be a pretty big object if that's the truth. I don't know, though. What do you think? 100 times larger than the Earth? All right, Nikola Tesla had a UFO. What we have here is a nice, good graphic little video for you to watch on the subject. 4 minutes, 59 seconds. I'm going to leave that for you to watch. But here is something that he had designed, a little two-person, two-occupant craft using magnetism and anti-gravity. All right, so I wanted to make this link available so you can check that out because that seems pretty interesting indeed. And finally, one last story here. Cosmic Society opens telepathic centers in Europe and worldwide to prepare the world. All right, this is what they kind of map out. Let me explain a little bit here. Cosmic societies are preparing this in preparation for first contact. Listen to Lost Knowledge on December 10th as we interview Alfred Steinbecker about Cosmic Society's telepathic centers that are now being established across Europe and eventually worldwide. And Cosmic Society is preparing Earth for the final phase for open first contact with galactic civilizations throughout the Milky Way and other galaxies. This exciting, foretold event in time of Earth's history is part of Earth's ascension into a higher state of consciousness and begins with the intuitive belief in our ability to exist as peaceful sovereign beings. Telepathic communication and contact with our benevolent extraterrestrial civilization was initiated formally for Earth on June 21st, 2016. Telepathic centers and open communication amongst all citizens, including scientists throughout the universe, offers Earth the new opportunity to peacefully integrate into the galactic society and harness new technology for a better way of life. Alfred Steinbecker leads the Cosmic Society team and is located in Germany. This team is opening telepathic centers throughout Germany, Switzerland, Austria, and eventually worldwide. There are currently 14 telepathy centers, 9 in Germany, 1 in Switzerland, 1 in Austria, 1 in Spain, 1 in Canada, and 1 in the U.S. The goal is to establish a vast intercultural exchange among Earth and the many benevolent civilizations from other planets. All right, we have a nice long dissertation about this, a little bit more, but pretty cool idea. We have a link here, directly linked, so you can go check out the Cosmic Society's telepathic centers, get a little bit more information on it. Now that's certainly a way to reach out, to tap into the powers of telepathy. Pretty cool idea. Pretty cool idea indeed. That is our UFO news for today. I'll be back. We shall continue on. Stay tuned.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People shouldn't be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of them.
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Patriots arise. It's time to demand the truth.
Okay, continuing on. So what we've got going on here is a series of stories dealing with all the current issues that are out in society these days. Now, one of the things we definitely are dealing with is this election and all of the talk from the Democratic side about now the Russians. The Russians did it. The Russians did it is what they want to say. I'm telling you, have you ever seen a bigger bunch of sore losers? I mean, you got Hillary Clinton saying that anybody who disagrees with the election results is a danger to democracy, yet she herself is the very danger that she claimed to be, and she's just hypocritical. I mean, just the way that they're going about this is just amazing. Amazing. So what we have here is a series of stories. This first one here: top U.S. spy agency refuses to endorse the CIA's Russian hacking assessment due to lack of evidence. When the Washington Post last Friday's story about the CIA assessment that Russian cyber attacks were aimed at helping Republican President-elect Donald Trump win the 2016 election, the readers of the Bezos-owned publication took it as gospel, despite, as we promptly noted, there was no evidence provided by the CIA. As we learned today, the FBI openly resisting the CIA's assessment. It now appears that once again the Washington Post may have been engaging in partial fake news, as it did with its November 24 story about Russian propaganda fake media. According to Reuters, the so-called overseers of the U.S. intelligence community, as it supervises the 17-agency-strong U.S. intelligence community, the officer of the Director of National Intelligence, while not disputing the CIA's analysis of Russian hacking operations, something which would be unprecedented for the U.S. spy industry and would telegraph just how partisan and broken the country's intelligence apparatus had become, has refused to endorse the CIA assessment because of lack of conclusive evidence that Moscow intended to boost Trump over Democratic opponent Hillary Clinton. So there we go. No evidence about that situation, but they're pushing it. And what did they say? It was partial fake news? No, it wasn't partial fake news. That was all fake news, okay? It was faked. Oh, we have an anonymous source in the CIA, and this is what they said. They didn't say anything. You don't have an anonymous source. Guess what? They lied. That's how desperate the Democratic Party is right now. Now, in Michigan, we know about the vote counts that went on. The vote counts finished. Donald Trump ended up getting more votes than he had originally. No, the Michigan counts were canceled, excuse me. It was the Wisconsin counts he got more than he originally had. But let's take a look here at the Michigan one. It says, Michigan to audit significant mismatches in Detroit vote. Uh-oh. Michigan's Electoral Bureau will investigate significant ballot discrepancies in a small portion of Detroit's voting precincts. The audit, ordered Monday, stems from a precinct in which 300 people were recorded as voting, but only 50 ballots were in a sealed container. State spokesman Fred Woodham said there's no reason to suspect people's votes weren't counted, but Michigan is aware of significant mismatches at roughly 20 of Detroit's 490 precincts. He said the problem wouldn't have changed the outcome of the Republican Donald Trump's victory in Michigan. Democratic Hillary Clinton won 95% of Detroit's vote. The ballots will go to Lansing for inspection. It's not uncommon for there to be slight inconsistencies between the number of voters in the ballots, but Woodham says such large inconsistencies are especially concerning. So what happened here? What happened was they tried to cheat, and they got caught. Why did they get caught? Because Jill Stein insisted that they do this recount, and in the process of going through and looking at the various cities, they found discrepancies. As a matter of fact, they were just going to skip over and say, oh, we're not going to add these cities in to the final recount because we can't reconcile. You know, we've got a problem going on right now because we have a media, CNN, ABC, NBC, MSNBC, Fox. They were all out there pushing false narratives. They were out pushing fake numbers, numbers that were oversampled in favor of Democrats. So all of these numbers that they were pushing were inaccurate. Now that the actual results have come in and those numbers weren't reached, what they're trying to do is flip the script and say that because those numbers weren't reached, there must have been voter fraud. The reason those numbers weren't reached isn't because of voter fraud. It was because those numbers were never even realistic to begin with. They were made up. Hillary never had the lead. Trump has always been in the lead of this event. Now, people may say, but the popular vote, Hillary won the popular vote. Let's take a look at this situation, shall we? We have 50 states here in America. The idea is for each of the 50 states to have an equal say. It's not fair if one state has more of a say than the others, because all of the states are located around different parts of the country. Therefore, a person on the East Coast doesn't want to have someone on the West Coast dictating to them how they're going to live, or vice versa. Or people in the middle of the country don't want to be dictated to by the people on the ends. Everybody wants an equal say, so it's fair. The only way it becomes fair is if we make each one of the 50 states equal to each other. Now, because the populations in each state is different, we can't use the population totals of the whole country because that will be skewed to the states with the largest populations. It only makes sense, right? Think about that for a moment. The states with the largest populations will always win because they will have more people voting. So in California, those liberal ideas in California would always make their way to the forefront if you used a popular vote, because those would be the ones who would have the most votes. But that's not fair to the rest of the country because not all the country thinks like California. So the thing that is fair is when people go to vote within each state, the popular vote does count within your state, but it counts towards the number of electors you are going to get to represent you. That way each state has a set of electors representative of the population. California gets 55 electors. That's the most of all of the states because they have the largest population. Now, when you go into a game, you set the rules beforehand. The rules of the game are who gets the most electors. That's how it's always been. To get to the point where we are now, where the game is ended, and now you're trying to change the rules of the game because you didn't win the game, well, that's absolutely ludicrous. It's absolutely un-American, and it's just, it just shows how one side is just so bent on winning that they're willing to lie, cheat, and steal in order to do so. Should make every American think about this. How did we get to this point where a portion of our society is thinking this way? Now, Jill Stein, she went into Pennsylvania, and she's been trying to get this recount, and here's the result that came in. Judge issues a blistering order denying Jill Stein's Pennsylvania recount request. Green Party presidential candidate Jill Stein had filed an emergency order in Pennsylvania federal court seeking an order for the state to hold a recount of the votes last month's presidential election. On Monday, Judge Paul S. Diamond denied Stein's request in blistering fashion. In his order, Judge Diamond shredded Stein's reasons for why a recount is necessary, saying that her request was later than the last minute and that her suspicion that the election in Pennsylvania was hacked borders on the irrational. The judge ruled that Stein did not provide any evidence of hacking, only spectral fears that machines were hacked or votes miscounted. Not only that, but because Stein received less than 1% of the votes, she couldn't possibly benefit personally from a recount. So the judge says she does not have standing to bring her claim. In addition, Judge Diamond said that he did not even have jurisdiction over Stein's case to begin with because it amounted to a request to overrule the Commonwealth Court effective refusal to order a recount. Stein filed her federal case after Pennsylvania Commonwealth Court ordered her supporters to post a $1 million bond, which was too expensive for them to continue, deeming the bond an adverse state court decision. Judge Diamond said it was inappropriate for federal court to get involved. Okay, so finally some good news within that. So Jill's been turned down. We had the recount in Wisconsin, resulted in more Trump votes, like 131, 160, somewhere within that number. We had Pennsylvania was turned down and Michigan was turned down. So strike one, strike two, and strike three for Jill Stein. But not only that, but because it hasn't worked, what are they now trying to do? They're trying to blame the Russians. Okay? Blaming the Russians because they're that desperate, despite the fact that they're saying how dangerous it is to provoke foreign countries. Here they are, a whole party of people provoking a foreign country by falsely accusing them when you have no proof of what you're accusing them of. It's very backwards. It's very, very backwards indeed. Now, the Electoral College is going to be the next issue that's going to be dealt with today. All the votes are going to get certified. Today was the deadline. Next Monday is the day for the Electoral College to meet. It isn't a day when everything is finally tallied and a final decision is made. It's just a day when the electors meet. Now, the electors are supposed to meet to vote on who is going to be the president. The electors are not there of their own accord. The electors are there representing the state that they are from. They act with the authority of the state, which means their job is simply ceremonial. They don't act of their own accord. They are supposed to go and do what the state says. But as we hear, there's a number of electors. I think now it's 2, 3, 4, maybe up to 10 that are claiming they're going to go rogue, that they don't want to be part of the system. And they think that's going to be okay and nobody's going to say a word about it. Well, there was one ruling on it yesterday, and this is what occurred. Breaking, federal judge makes big decision on electoral mutiny against Trump. Colorado federal judges refused to allow 2 Colorado electors to unbind their votes. The DenverChannel.com reported a federal judge in Colorado on Monday denied a motion filed last week by 2 Colorado electors who want to append the state law that requires them to vote for the presidential candidate who won the state's popular vote. Judge Wiley Daniel said that granting the motion to allow electors to vote against the popular vote would undermine the electoral process. He advised the 2 plaintiffs in the suit, Robert Nemec of Colorado Springs and Polly Baca, a former state senator from Denver, that if they were unhappy, they should go through the legislature to change state law. The judge said voters have a reasonable expectation that electors should vote with the public and called the suit a political stunt. Okay, so if you're concerned about something going to happen, well, here we go. This is the reality of it, my friends. When people go to vote within a state, and the state declares a candidate as the winner, because each one of the 50 states gets to choose a candidate, one or the other. So when a state chooses that candidate, it's because the overwhelming number of people in that state said, this is who we want. The popular vote works well within that state. You take those electors and you put them all together from each one of the states, and now you're supposed to go out and you're supposed to cast according to the way your state tells you, because you are simply acting as a representative for the state to do what the state says. And as this last statement dictates, that voters, you, me, and everybody else who went to cast a vote, we have a reasonable expectation that the person that we voted for, if our state was the winner, that the person that is the elector is going to do the vote that they're supposed to do for the state. We expect that. It's a reasonable expectation. Now, we have these young electors saying that they can do what they want. Remember this. back in the day when all of this was going on and the founding fathers were involved, these men, these electors, were men of high moral character. We don't have those type of people in the Electoral College these days. We don't have, these aren't people of high moral character like they were back then. These aren't people who are involved within the process like the men were back then. So we can't really look at the situation now and compare the electors to who they were, because it's a different time, it's a different age, and the people now are, well, they're acting very immorally, and they're acting not for the good of the country, but for the good of their particular personal interest based upon the party that they are affiliated with. So we as voters have an expectation to be met. They have to meet that expectation, and if it's not going to happen, look, the judges are going to do something. People are on this. You think that the state actually gets to the point where they're going to go to the electors and then suddenly say, this is it. We're turning it all over to you, and what happens, our fate is in your hand. No, it's not going to work that way, because we can easily see that people can be corrupted. And these electors, if they're able to be corrupted, then they're not men, they're not persons of high moral character, because a person of high moral character wouldn't be corrupted by the politics. They would understand what was going on. A person of high moral character wouldn't be spouting out the lies that they were told. They would actually look into a situation to understand the truth. So we have a big discrepancy on the type of electors we have now versus the type of electors that were back in the day. So these faithless electors need to do a little bit of soul searching to realize that they are representatives simply of doing what the people ask them to do. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay, so moving on. Pizzagate. We've been hearing about Pizzagate. We hear the mainstream media trying to tell us that this is a fake news story. The reason they're trying to tell us a fake news story is because not only is it such a ugly story that it involves so many elite politicians and members of society, but is a situation that is very real and very troubling. They're trying to say that it is fake so they aren't implicated in the process. The whole push these days is to get you to think of fake news, everything other than CNN is fake news. Problem is, we've all heard CNN lie to us over and over and over. We're aware that they are either the Clinton News Network or the Communist News Network or something that is completely un-American. We understand the same about MSNBC and ABC and NBC. We know how they've sold us out. Yet they're all claiming fake news. Even the ones who have been caught doing fake news are out spouting about fake news, which is kind of funny when you think about it. In the future times, we're going to look back to this period and we're going to laugh. It's like idiocracy coming in alive in our lives. So anyway, Vice President-elect Mike Pence was invited to one of these pizza events. It says, Dear Governor Pence, on behalf of your new neighbors at Chevy Chase, Washington, D.C., we invite you to join us for pizza at Comet Ping Pong. In doing so, we hope that you will help us quell the damaging impact of a bizarre fake news story that has put us all in harm's way. As we are sure you are aware, Comet Ping Pong, a beloved neighborhood restaurant, has been under savage attack as a result of a detestable fake news story claiming that the restaurant and its owner are involved in a child exploitation ring tied to Hillary Clinton. This falsehood first appeared on the so-called alt-right news sites and quickly spread across the internet. Although it's preposterous in its face and it has been repeatedly debunked by law enforcement, the story has provoked a deluge of death threats, menacing visits, and other threatening conduct aimed at the restaurant and its employees. It appears that the threats have now spread to other small businesses on the block. Governor, you have chosen our neighborhood as your own. You have chosen wisely. We are a terrific, close-knit community that represents the best of America. You have campaigned during much of your career as a small-town boy who believes in the virtues of family, faith, and freedom. Our families' faiths and political beliefs may differ, but we are a family neighborhood with the same hopes for our children and love of our country as those in your home state of Indiana. We are a small town in the city, rich with small neighborhood business like the Politics and Prose bookstore, where children and seniors gather for readings, and Comet Ping Pong, which just released celebrated its 10th anniversary. Along with Politics and Prose, Comet anchors the business district and our main street, Connecticut Avenue. Families come together along the avenue to buy books and so on. Okay. At the end, it says, we hope you will join your new neighbor at Comet Ping Pong. Please bring your family. Vote with your appetite and conscience against the hatred and division that this controversy has stoked. Okay, so I understand somebody reaching out, but here they're saying things which aren't true. First of all, they're calling this a fake story. They're saying everyone's saying it's fake, and this came up on the alt-right. It's not accurate. You know how this came up? It came up because information was discovered in John Podesta's emails by internet investigators who began to tear apart these emails and started finding phrases that were repeating, words that were repeating, words and phrases that were out of context to what the conversation should have been about or seemed to be about. And it seemed kind of strange, and so when following along with that line of thinking and where things were going, this whole pedophilia, child prostitution, trafficking ring has been exposed. Now, it goes on to say here that this has repeatedly been debunked by law enforcement, but that is inaccurate as well. There's been no debunking of this. There's been no claims that this is a false news story, except by the media, who we know tells false news stories. So when the organization who tells us fake news is telling us a story is fake news, that must mean that the story they're telling is actually real news, and they're trying to divert our attention away from it. So let's not get caught up in the mainstream media's lies. The reason they're telling this, most likely, many of them are complicit in these activities, and many of them are going to go to jail. So we have John Podesta, who's going to fight and scratch and claw his way to freedom because he doesn't want to go to jail. Same with Hillary Clinton. Same with all of those other scoundrels that have been doing and involved with criminal activity. Their days are numbered. So they're going to try everything they can to stop Trump from getting in office. And we see what's going on. The only problem is we have too many eyes on the situation. Too many people are watching. So whatever they're trying to do to steal the election, they need to do it in front of everybody. Because the curtain's pulled back. They're no longer behind the scenes trying to steal it where nobody's paying attention. Now we're all watching. And when they try to do something, we see them, and it's like, we see you, what are you doing? And it's pretty much that. That's it. All right, another story here. This one may seem incredible to you, and then again, it may not. Obama on Comedy Central. America by no means has overcome legacies of slavery, Jim Crow, colonialism, and racism. America is still struggling to overcome its legacies of slavery, Jim Crow, colonialism, and racism, President Obama told Comedy Central Monday night. Appearing on The Daily Show, Obama was asked about how he speaks to crowds about race. How does he skirt that line between speaking your mind and sharing your true opinions on race, whilst at the same time not being seen to alienate some of the people you are talking to? Host Trevor Noah asked. You know, my general theory is that if I was clear in my own mind about who I am, comfortable in my own skin, and had clarity in the way in which race continues in this powerful factor in so many elements in our lives, Obama said, but that is not only factor in so many aspects of our lives that we have by no means overcome the legacies of slavery and Jim Crow and colonialism and racism, but that the progress we've made has been real and extraordinary. If I'm communicating my genuine belief that those who are not subject to racism can sometimes have blind spots or lack of appreciation of what it feels to be on the receiving end of that. But that doesn't mean that they're not open to learning and caring about equality and justice, and that I can win them over because there is goodness in the majority of people. Elsewhere in the interview, Obama attacked the media for focusing on the hacked DNC emails during the campaign, even though there was nothing explosive in the exposed communications. It was fairly routine stuff, he insisted. All right, so we're going to leave that there because the BS is starting to pile up. Actually, he's disappointed we were looking at the DNC emails, but there was explosive things in there. There were many, many explosive things in there. Explosive things that led to people losing their jobs. People were demoted. Like the head of the DNC. You know, I'm just saying. So this man, again, is talking out of his backside. He just doesn't know how to tell the truth. And here he is, the greatest divider that our country has ever known. And he's talking about division again. He just doesn't know how to bring things together, or he's doing this intentionally. I'm going to guess that he's doing it intentionally because he is that kind of a guy. He's the divider in chief and not the uniter in chief by any means. All right, so we're moving along. We've got the election. We got all the processes of change happening, and we're living in a sea of energy, and we're all affected by all of these thoughts and ideas and expressions that happen each and every day. So we want to pay attention not only to the little things of life, but we also want to be able to pull back and look at things from a bigger perspective. This is a article here about the energies that are hitting us throughout the course of this year. This comes to us from Sandra Walter. It says, "Blessings, beloved Light Tribe. Our December-January passage of renewal and rebirth is upon us, and the acceleration presents opportunities for profound experiences in our ascension process. Perhaps you have felt this in September's wave. Something else is going on. The background energy for our experience is changing, creating a platform for new experience. New creations are emerging as the old collapse, and it is a sacred passage of patience and unity. Let the new be revealed rather than attempting to steer it in a direction which we may not serve. We are engaging with higher trajectories which favor peaceful, neutral creator beings willing to serve as conduits of this divine light influx in order to let the Christed mission unfold. The accelerated timelines continue to overwrite and dissolve lower timelines and lesser trajectories. The fascinating and lucid experience of the emerging new trajectories for ascension is brilliant. The more open we are to expand into these new realities and have this experience on behalf of the collective, the easier this deeply transitional phase will be for all concerned. Let us hold the love light high as many become distracted by the holidays' busyness. This December-January influxes are a deeply sacred passage. We are co-creating the highest possibilities of this acceleration with our highest levels. The highest possible outcomes are of a much higher vibration than our old reality. Accelerated timelines release, dissolve, or overwrite lower vibrational timelines by quantum effect. The higher vibration always raises or eliminates the lower. When the human collective chooses to engage with the accelerated high vibrational timeline experiences, there are many, hence the timeline fluctuation right now. It allowed for the individuals to release their lower self templates and take on the higher trajectories, possible outcomes for their ascension. The collective trajectory shifted, individual trajectories are shifting, and now we have a divine opportunity presenting as the lower timelines burn themselves out. In order to merge higher and lower self during the ascension, the old template of self will be surrendered. The old is not a vibrational match for the new experience. Some leave form, some are able to transition well in form. Old template drop-off occurs and you complete that part of your journey. You learned the lessons, cleared the fears, and the old reality no longer applies. You exhausted the applicability of the old self. The new templates enter immediately. However, with the density, it may take the consciousness a while to grasp what has occurred. It will feel both divine and disorienting until your inner compass aligns with a higher trajectory. This new template level began in 2015. However, many had a dramatic shift with the September wave because your soul level chose to jump onto the new trajectory of the new timeline available. It will be clear to you that the old template is gone, attached to the past, who you were, the future of where you are going. Identity, egoic structures will drop away. Memories will remain. However, the entanglement of emotional vibration is gone. When you revisit the past, the same occurs for future concerns or predictions. We are becoming very now in order to become conduits of the present. All right, so we have more to the article here. I want to encourage you to finish this up here. But the whole point, again, is the confirmation that we are going through some profound changes, that the energy shifts are taking place on this planet, and that energy shifts within us and around us. It gives us the opportunity to shift with us. Okay? We can stay behind. We don't have to shift with the energy. We can resist as much as possible, but resistance in this case is pretty futile, because what we have going on is we have an energetic merging that is taking place. Energy from a higher vibrational aspect is affecting us, and we're not going to be able to do anything other than participate within this shift, because we're going to feel it. And as it goes on to say in the article, that higher vibration of energy is going to affect the lower vibration to bring that up. This process of ascension means to rise. The idea is for us to ascend within ourselves, for that lower conscious self to ascend into a higher state of awareness. Okay? It doesn't have to necessarily be a profound experience of completely leaving the planet, leaving the body. That ascension process can happen within each and every individual, and it will happen within each and every individual first and foremost, before it takes on that next very profound step. Because there's a lot of opportunities and possibilities that could happen as things unfold, and as we've read from the past, we know that some very profound experiences have happened, and those times and those moments where those things happen again will be returning shortly. So something to look forward to. That brings us to our meditation for today. So close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And exhale. Then take another deep breath. And exhale again. And another breath. And exhale. Now, just allow yourself to be in the present moment, not thinking about the past or the future, just in this moment right now. Think about your heart and feel your heartbeat to bring you to this present moment. Feel your breath at this moment, and just be aware of what is happening around you. Feel the energies that are hitting your body right now, like waves hitting the shores of the beach. Listen to the whisperings of the wind as they move around you, and just feel yourself caught in this moment of nowness. And just continue to breathe. And from this place, from this moment of nowness, let us just feel the connection we have to that spiritual aspect of life. Let us feel that energetic connection that connects us to some unseen force that flows and fills our body with all of the energy that it contains. Heavenly Father, Heavenly Mother, thank you for the blessings of this day and all the opportunities you bring into our lives. Thank you for the opportunity we have not only individually, but collectively. For each and every one of us, the opportunity to work towards the greatest good, and in the process learn about ourselves and about each other. We thank you for these blessings and these opportunities, for we know that this plan, this organization, this system of which you have created is one that is ever flowing and ever teaching. Thank you for the blessings of the light of the Christ that flows out from your essence into all things, that we too may shine bright with this light of Christ. And finally, thank you for the opportunities to be strong and focused in removing all of the distraction and all of the distortion that gets in the way of us shining this light bright into the world. So let's let the subconscious mind now continue on the journey, simply observing the world by feeling the energy of the moment that we are in. Looking at things not for what we think they are, but simply observing them for what they truly are, so we might be able to discern what is truly happening. So let the subconscious mind continue on the journey of observation and awareness, and let's bring the conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3 coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2 coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1 coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale and open your eyes. All right, my friends, that is it for today. Thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate it. As you go through the day, just keep in mind that everything's going to be okay. We have a lot of falseness that's being projected from the mainstream sources, but that's because of fear. Once they stop being afraid, they'll stop telling the lies and stop being so false. So let's just send them positive thoughts of encouragement that they become strong. Let's not get caught up in the lies, and let's just keep ourselves focused upon the truth, because we're all moving forward. We just don't need to be afraid, because fear is nothing more than a false expectation, and there's no need to bring that into reality. That's it for today. I will be back, and we shall continue on with more news and information. Until then, I love you. Keep loving each other, and I will talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.